Yo, it's Guido coming at you with the Tactics Talk. Welcome back, guys. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of World of Tanks. And we have Noble Wolf back from Clan Film. He of the intro created my intro for me, so I do appreciate that. Got a bit of a flair for the dramatic, old Noble Wolf does, because he called this one Thunderous Fields. Thunderous Fields. So let's see what happens in Thunderous Fields here. We've got two scouts up forward. We spawned into the south of Proc. He does not go to the hill. He's got a couple going to the hill. He's got scouts spread out. Now I'm going to bring your attention to the first guy that dies here in just a moment. Just pay attention to about where the WZ-131 is. It'll happen in a minute. Now, a Noble, I will say that I don't know if I'd go this far back. See how far up that Type 64 is? You can actually be quite a bit further up. Probably worried about those bushes on, just to the north of the Type 64. And that's a valid concern, but I think you can be a little bit further up. Now, here comes Mr. Setter, and there goes Mr. Setter. All right, so I have I'm gonna go on a bit of a tangent here. I have a review of the Setter out, and that is not the way you play a Setter. Even on this map, you do not want to get spotted. You do not want to be ridge running, at least early game with that many guns. You don't even really want to do that with any scout because he came way up high. But anyway, the Su-130 dies very quickly, and all of a sudden they've got quite an advantage. One of the enemy scouts is gone, the one that was working in the middle, and now we're starting to work on guys that are getting lit. And look how far forward the WZ and the Type 64 are there, Noble, and this is why I'm mentioning I would have been moving up a little bit further, because he is right at draw distance. Much further, and you won't be able to shoot those guys, and that's the concern. If they're lighting guys up further to the north, you won't have shots. Noble also really likes this third-person kind of long-range sniping. It works out for him. I don't happen to like it, but he's making it effective. Here's an example where you just didn't have enough lead fire on that 1375. Remember, the further away he is, and the faster he's moving right to left, and the slower your shell velocity, the more leads you want. So looking at all of those different variables, you're going to have to figure out your lead fire. Obviously, the other strange thing about that one is he was kind of moving from left to right, but he was also going from high to low at the same time. So you've got to take all of those into consideration when you're talking about lead fire. And there is his patented locked turret movement. He likes to lock his turret when he moves forward. And then, so this was an interesting decision for me. You've got the 1357 pretty far forward. You've still got the Type looking around over here, and you get up on the road. The problem with this is there's a lot of openings on these bushes. And if this guy's turret pops up, then whatever's left back here may have shots. I'd have come just on the left side of these bushes, right along here, or tunneled through these bushes, avoiding getting spotted from my right side. And then if you get a shot, pop up where you know there's not a big hole, like right there as one example, and then start taking shots there. I was a little bit surprised you didn't get spotted here. It was probably a fairly near-run thing, but he dies. And we keep on trucking. Here's the other problem with this. Now, you do get off the road for just a second. You see the 1357 moving forward, so we'll come up, and I'm going to pause it here because you had multiple shots on this Black Prince, and had you stopped back here and got up on the road, you'd have probably taken that guy out and maybe even had shots. I think the JP's moving. Now he's still sitting right there. I think he may have had shots on that guy as well. It would have been a little tougher for the JP, but we keep on moving. Now we see the JP, and the problem is as soon as we come up and over this close, we now give this guy, this Hellcat, an angle, whereas these bushes were stopping him from seeing you. And I think had you been further back because you didn't get lit back here, you might have been able to shoot and not worry about being hit by the Hellcat. But the Hellcat gets a shot. He has a relatively long reload. You put a shot in him, and holy cow, now we've got that Su-100 up on top right there. Hellcat's getting roughed up by the 1357. You back up and miss, and I'm thinking it's all over for Noble, but his buddy Lee R. Johnson nukes him with an ammo rack and takes all of the hit points. Now the 1357F is moving in on the JP, and the JP is going to have a hard time against two tanks. 1357F is a one-shot to the JP, obviously, with that few of hit points, and is probably going to take a couple hits to take down our hero Noble, but they tag team the casemate TD, and that's one of the weaknesses, obviously, of a casemate TD. Once it gets in close range fighting like that. M44 gets spotted by one of the scouts. Noble flexes up to try to get a shot, and now he comes through. I don't know if I'd have gone through the middle like that, really. Once we took out that Su-100 and knew that the JP was moving around the middle, I would not expect either one of these, any of these three guys to be up here, or they'd have been absolutely punishing all these guys pushing up. So I would have expected the arty to be up here. I would have gone up and over here, looked for the arty, protected myself somewhat from anyone who might be over here in the bushes or up on this ridge. But as it was, you drone straight through the middle right there. It was just kind of a dangerous move. You get away with it because it was no factor as far as where they were, but you didn't really know that. The P-44 was lurking around over there, and now you know where they all are, right? The P-44, roughly anyway, was last seen down on the track line, and the other two were up top. And then you just drive right in front of the M44, and he takes a huge chunk off you. This is cleanup time, and I am an advocate of being aggressive. I probably wouldn't have done it that way, driven right in front of him like that, especially an M44 that are going to reload pretty quickly, because the problem is it leaves you less options here, right? You want to have enough hit points that you can get in there and scrap with them and get your damage in, but now you're a one-shot to the Pantera, and that's going to cost you here because you're going to come up and over. You go for the long-range third-person shot. You do hit him, actually, and track him. But he knows you're there now, and because you're basically a one-shot to this guy, you don't have any options to come up over. Now, it's an autoloader, so just even had you had those 231 from the M44, you probably wouldn't have wanted to come up and over and face that guy anyway, because then he's going to put 2 shots into you very quickly. So we've got to be a little bit careful here. But overall, it does reduce our opportunities. The T-44 is now alone up on the hill. You can see the Defender coming in. And the Pantera is not in a bad spot. I mean, it's going to be very difficult for him to win, and his buddy's going to die here. So the Overwatch up there goes away. However, based on being an autoloader and the hit points I'm seeing on the tanks that are coming in, if he plays this right, he can scare your team. You know, the 4 of you could easily die right here if he does it right. But it looks like he's just having a really hard time. I don't know what he's going. Usually guys who are sitting back with all their hit points in ravines like this are not very good players. He manages to get 2 of them though. And the Defender's in a decent spot. We're going to come up and over, and now all your friends are, it's just the big swarm. He needed to kill the 4 of you much quicker than that. Now he just, too many hit points, too many tanks, and he's not going to survive that. I'm not saying he had a great chance there, but he certainly did. A competent player probably would have scared your team a little bit more in that case. But nice job, man. So we got 3 kills. 3 from, what was it, Fields of Thunder? It was, at least the ammo rack, I'll give you that. The ammo rack was definitely a Field of Thunder kind of event. And you did roll up the one line pretty well, so that was nicely done. I also appreciate the fact that you're playing the T-34/100, the Chinese. It's a Tier 7. I always forget that. I always think it's a Tier 6 because it's a Tier 6 hole, and it's at Tier 7 because of the 100mm gun. I appreciate that because I actually liked that tank quite a bit. It does have some vices, things like bad depression, not great gun handling, that kind of thing, but that big 100 sitting on it is actually kind of fun. I did enjoy that tank, although it was a long time ago that I played it. Thanks for sending in the replay. It's a great lesson on some teamwork between you and your, and I don't know if you had voice comms or not. You'll have to let us know in the comments if you did. That would be definitely helpful in a situation like this as you talk about how you're going to move from position to position up the one line, and that's really one of the best things about comms, obviously, is coordinating what's going on. But if you just did it by happenstance or because you were a platoon, to be quite honest, I don't remember if you were a platoon at the beginning, were you? I don't know. Maybe this is a dynamic platoon. But anyway, working together always helps, and clearly that happened whether by happenstance or on purpose. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the replay. Maybe you learned something. If you did, make sure you subscribe. Send a comment down below. Say hello, and we will see you.